Welcome to the KR Films Entertainment channel. Today I'll show you a mystery thriller film Jewish him. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins with a newly transferred police officer to the Pandoran police station. He notices the guy in the prison cell staring in a daze. The police recognize him, but the officer responds that appearance can be deceiving. He proceeds to point out where the guy is done is unbelievable. The guy stares at the ceiling with eyes hit like a ton of bricks, and a flashback appears. The husband is a fourth grade dropout but a reputable owner of a cable business. His love for movies is visible when he criticizes an action film for the scene is full of unnecessary effects, but nothing is happening. The husband's assistant rolls him with a suggestion that he must make a movie that the world can see him. Fortunately, the husband is ironic humor that deals with his assistant on the same date. The husband visits the hotel diner and notices a problematic old couple. The husband asks the owner, Uncle Diner, by the situation of the old couple. Uncle Diner reveals that the arrogant Inspector Officer Ugly illegally arrested the couple's son because the son failed to pay a debt from Officer of these cousin. Thanks to his film addiction, the has been explained to the couple that they can appeal to court for the privilege of the writ. He believes that the court will release their son because of an illegal arrest. The husband comes home in the morning to eat breakfast with his family. During the meal, his wife complains that husband doesn't have a sense of responsibility of his family. He would rather watch movies in his office than go home to spend time with his family. The husband agrees to have a vacation trip with his family. Their family day goes smoothly, especially with Beauty, their teenage daughter. In fact, Baby, the youngest child, joined the fun-filled adventures from shopping, eating and movie marathons. There seems to be no storm and is about to happen now until Beauty informs her dad school selected her to join a camp and eventually asked him if she can go. As a supportive father, the husband agrees, reminding her that knowledge is not found only in books. As the family comes home, they have lunch with Beauty's grandparents. Merely a social worker suddenly informs the husband of a suspended stone quarry project 15 kilometers away. The next day, Uncle Diner introduces a contractor who works at the proposed site for the police station. Officer Ugly suddenly appears and interrogates them if they saw an old couple the other day. He also assumes that a fellow off taught them some legal lessons. Uncle Diner denies seeing the old couple, so Officer Ugly turns his arrogance to Uncle Diner's superiority complex strikes. He claims that Uncle Diner should give him a commission. Scintilla the worker eat there. The husband cunningly responds that the hotel diner is the only place the workers can eat, so the commission isn't necessary. Officer only talks back with his police card. He can easily tell the workers to stop eating in the diner. A senior cop enters the scene to have a cup of coffee, who happens to know the husband because of his good reputation. The husband grabbed the opportunity to tell the senior cop about Officer Ugly's shitty behavior. The humiliation Officer Ugly gets from a situation eventually becomes the root is madness towards the husband back to his home. The husband is digging a pit for compost when the wife invites him to join a sage sermon on October 2 and 3. The husband refuses to go, but she insists that they need to go all together. A playful siblings interrupt them, so the husband asks Beauty how the camp goes. Beauty tells them that camp was great fun and there were kids from whip families. One of them is Playboy, a perverted kid who maliciously takes videos and photos of girls including Beauty. Her parents ask why she did not complain. A Beauty reassures them that the advocate's daughter already scolded him. Officer Ugly then appears with another arrogance in his pocket and threatens the contractor. He declares that the contractor shouldn't complain about his treatment or else the contract will have his dismissal. The husband rescues the contractor, saying the dogs like Officer Ugly. Other day, as soon as Officer Ugly leaves, Uncle Diner warns the husband of the trouble he might get into hell. However, the husband just shrugs it off, believing he is in the right position. Now comes the husband watches an adult romance film. It's an unusual routine since he decides to go home having the excuse that he has a headache. Excuse runs well when he comes home and plays a hormone game with his wife. After breakfast, the wife asked Beauty if she can go to the market to buy some stuff, which she gladly obliges. Playboy disturbs Beauty's peaceful walk from the market by showing the video clip of a sexy bath time. Playboy eventually blackmails her if she doesn't meet, and later that night he will publicity the video. The poor Beauty feels traumatized, but she's smart enough to tell the wife what happened. Her camp trip. The stormy night comes as Playboy enters the outhouse. The way switches on the late. Playboy shows the wife the video. She inevitably cries for her daughter's demise. They are running out of luck when they unsuccessfully tried to steal a phone away from Playboy's grip. As a caring mother she meals and bags Playboy to delete the video. He agrees, but only if the wife gives what he wants. Right then, boy's brave and his comes out of flight. She grabs a metal bar to hit play when his head. She's crying of relief and tension when she notices that the Dementor has fallen. Then she immediately crushes his phone. The wife approaches playboy, but unfortunately he dies due to internal injury. Beauty tries to call her father but unreachable at the moment because he is watching a runaway-themed movie. In an attempt to cover up their crime, they encase the body and bury it in the compost. Fat baby wakes up because of the two commotion. She dumbfoundedly stares at her frantic mother and sister, witnessing how they hide the body in the compost. The husband comes home in the morning. He's confused when misses the money. Footsteps in the hallway. The siblings instantly hung him. What he glances. The wife's greeting state. They tell them what exactly happened last night. The wife expresses her fear and suggests they need to inform the police. The husband refuses, saying Beauty's life is at stake. He will not let anything happen to them. Beauty finds Playboy's car key and gives it to the husband. The husband goes to the outhouse to find more evidence. He spots the Playboy SIM card. When Beauty and the wake start to clean, suddenly his addiction and movies reminds him of SIM card tracking by intelligence agents. He then decides to bring the SIM card with him. While locating the car before he leaves, instructs them to make a house appear as if no one is home. He also reassures Beauty that she will not go to jail because he still live. As soon as the husband finds a car, he drives off without noticing officer of his presence on the same grassland. The husband buys a second-hand phone to place the SIM card and eventually throws it into a tanker. Thanks to the social worker who informs him about the quarry, he gets an idea of where to get rid of Playboy's car. He then drives towards the quarry and pushes the car to the lake. At home, the wife informs the husband that Playboy is spoiled son of a tycoon father and a tough mother was a high-ranking police chief. Knowing that Playboy's powerful family might chase them, the husband comes up with a perfect alibi. Using his knowledge from watching films, he plans to make it appear that his guilty family attended the siege sermon during the day of Playboy's disappearance. The guilty family then packed their bags and goes to pen the venue of the stage sermon. He instructs his family to tell anyone who asks them that they will come to the siege sermon as they will be absent from their house for 2 days. The husband reminds them to keep all the bills from their trip. When they get to the hotel, his family is still in fright, so he tells them they fear the last piece of evidence that the police can gather. After several days, the police chief investigates her son's disappearance by tracking his phone, but unfortunately the police can't trace it. The chase begins when young swimmers catch sight of Playboy's car under the lake. Frustrated upon seeing the car, the chief tells the police not to spread the news. Officer Ugly testify is that he saw the has been approaching the yellow car. However, other cops do not believe is Ugly and smelly bullshit. For them, Officer Ugly is either lying or mistaken because they know that he and the husband are not on good terms. With this does not clear the husband from a suspicion. Officer Ugly and the other police officer visit Beauty's school and interrogate her. She is consistent statements about her family's bond impaired her to attend the sage sermon during the day of Playboy's disappearance. Shortly after, they proceed to her house and investigate the husband and the wife. The scared and trembling wife accidentally spills her alibi without the officers asking. Yet Officer Ugly smirks as he detects a mistake. Fortunately, the husband comes with an alibi telling them that Beauty is pressured about their investigation. They also present the receipts of their expenses during their trip to Panicky so they can convince the officers that they went there. The officers wonder why they kept the receipts, so the husband says that they are keeping it to track their expenses and save money. Meanwhile, the police chief already feels agitated, pointing out that the husband is a 4th grade dropout, so he must not be kind enough to lie. She orders the police to bring the family for another interrogation. The police illegally arrest the reputable family, pushing their friends and neighbors to enter the station's gate. And again, in the family is consistent answers, but the police chief gets suspicious with fact baby's rational statements. Despite her young age, the police chief orders Officer Ugly to bring all the people involved. They start with the husband's closest colleagues, Uncle Diner and the husband's assistant. Second, the larger on the family met at the hotel. Third, to hotel owner Wu's me management. It's commanded by the family. Fourth, the film operator who encountered the family during the movie getaway. Fifth, the first conductor who built them for free. And lastly, a second conductor who had a great bond with Fat Baby. Their testimonies are consistent answers about the family's trip dependency during the day of Playboy's disappearance. The guilty family even shared their insights about the lessons of the sage sermon as proof of their attendance. The police chief called the sage. The sage affirms they might have attended his event since his sermon is you meet every event. Finding nothing from the interrogation, the police officers have to allow the guilty family to go home. Meanwhile, the police chief strongly holds on to your intuition. The husband's family is guilty, so he instructs the police officers to check the husband's background to find a link to his involvement in the crime. The police chief speculates that the first link is the husband's love of film, which allows him to create the perfect alibi. The second link is the family could have watched a replay of the Herman and pretended they really attended it. Another leak occurs when the second conductor confesses that the husband stops the bus to withdraw from the ATM the following day right after Playboy's disappearance. The police chief watches the CCTV record hoping that the husband did not go to the ATM. The husband appears the bank stalling, even stares at the camera. This confirms that the family really went to panicky on the brink of dismay. The police chief has a recon moment when she can finally link them all together. She then concludes that the family really went to pansy or not during the day Playboy's disappearance. She emphasizes the power of cinema as a visual stimulant, saying that visual memories are strongest memories. She figures out that the family successfully created their alibi by repeatedly reminding the witnesses of their encounter, allowing the witnesses to visualize their memory of it. But the twitch does the family made the witnesses visually believe that the memories of their encounter happened during the day of Playboy's disappearance, though in reality it just went there the other day. Because of that, all the witnesses unconsciously testified the family really stayed and panicky during the day Playboy's disappearance. What's more, the has been shown up intentionally before the ATM camera and panicky a day after Playboy's disappearance. All the evidence links to each other and thus helps create family's alibi. In the end, the police chief realizes that a 4th grade dropout marked the whole police department. The next day they arrest the family, conducted its legal investigation. The police issue confront the husband with her deductions of his plans. She interrogate Beauty about her relationship with Playboy. Finally, she use a question for the wife about the feelings of being a mother. Later on, the police chief orders Officer Ugly to be the husband just enough the truth. The wife and Beauty give beatings to by Officer Ugly and women cops, but there's still no answer. The poor fat baby has to witness the beatings of cops on her family. Luckily, the tycoon can request his wife to stop on. Playboy's friend arrives. The friend confesses about all the sexual crimes of their son with him, including Playboy's video clip of Beauty. It both feel guilty but determined to know the truth, so the beatings continue. Officer Ugly turned to the scared fat baby with the police chief orders to send the parents away for her to speak. The family thinks that's all for today, but the door closes before them, leaving in baby alone. On with the awful monsters, Officer Ugly threatens fat baby. The tycoon tries to convince the police chief that they should stop because they will end up regretful that the family is innocent. He adds the possibility of Officer D's mistake is triggers Officer Ugly to slap fat baby in fear. The vulnerable fat baby pleads of him not to hit her and she will tell she knows. Fat baby then leaves the cops to the body's location. The scene intensifies as they pit the spot while media and friends surround them. They express to the media their distaste for Officer always crappy behavior. Later on, a horrible smell arises, making the couple stand up to see for themselves a dead animal. This finally makes everyone believe that the family is innocent. The husband then shares Officer Eliza violence towards fat baby. Good thing that the bigoted cop Officer Ugly ends have beaten by the people. The media becomes a wildfire because of the family's illegal arrest. Court orders a suspension for the involved officers while the tycoon and the police chief take a leave. Going back to the first scene, the suggestion of the husband as a movie maker happens in reality this time, and she's in crime scene proof. React with no unnecessary effects. Time passes by. The couple decides to meet the husband to personally apologize for peace of mind. The couple pleads to the husband if their son is already dead. In the end, the husband hints at their guilt for their son's death. Guilty or free as they are, the flashback ends before the husband gets released from detention. The station officer claims that he made a fool out of the entire police department. No matter what, the station officer believes that they will solve the case and find where the has been buried the body. It turns out that after being set free from the interrogation the first time, the has been secretly removed the body out of the compost in their garden and put a carcass in exchange without mentioning to any family members, including his vulnerable little daughter. In the end, he hit it on a proposed site of Pando and police station 6 feet under the ground.